The Formula One Singapore Grand Prix qualifying just finished up, and I'm here to go over all the important moments, starting with Q1, going through the late drama in Q3, and all of the moments you need to know about. Let's get started right away with Q1. Carlos Sainz on his very first lap had a bit of an issue, almost bended into the first corner. And that, if you didn't see the session, that might be a bit of foreshadowing to later. So just stick around to Q3, okay? Immediately, we were getting some pretty good times for the Ferrari and McLarens. Franco Colapinto scraped the wall a bit, as a lot of other people did around that turn 17. That Salesforce barrier was just getting absolutely ripped up yesterday. With about 10 minutes left into Q1, Max went second fastest in the times, only to get passed by Leclerc on his following lap. And then on Max's following lap, he had a moment into turn 9 and almost lost it there. A lot of people were slipping around turn 16. It really felt like someone was bound to crash this entire session. I was really just waiting for it. It felt like it was just building for somebody to crash because everybody's pushing. Obviously, they're all going as hard as they can. They were all setting good times right off the bat, and even the commentators were saying how it was a bit more dusty on the track than this year, so maybe that played a role in it. But uh, right after that, Hamilton actually had another moment into turn one. Couldn't slow the car down into that first chicane. No damage or anything like that, but he had a lot of problems slowing the car down on his first couple of runs, and then Mercedes really dialed in towards the end of the session. Lots of improvements towards the end of Q1. The track really started to pick up. Unfortunately, Danny Rick could not get through. Went out sad, man. Probably going to be his last race. If all the speculation is true, and I feel bad, man. Tough lap. Um, Yuki ended up getting into Q3, I believe. So not a great look. Ocon barely makes it through into 15th. Stroll, as predicted, out in Q1, along with Gasly, Valtteri Bottas, and Guan Yu Zhou, who I also predicted to be in last because, I mean, like, this isn't even close. So pretty easy prediction there. And also going out of Q1, I think Mercedes was the only one that had not used two sets of softs in that first session, so they did have an advantage going into Q3 if they were to make it there. Red Bull went out first in Q2. Went out first onto the track in Q2 with Perez first. He set a pretty crap time, and then Max came through behind him, who almost lost it into the last corner and had his time deleted. Definitely would have been the fastest lap to that point, obviously, because they were 1 and 2 that started. But it was about a 1:29.7, I think, even after he had to board it or whatever. But he had a good time and had to essentially go back out in Q2 on the used tires from that first run because he had the time deleted, which put him at a disadvantage. But Hamilton came through after that and set the quickest time of the weekend of any session with a 29.929. That would obviously be beaten later sessions, but at that point that was the fastest. Lando and Max both had some moments in this session, almost smacking the back end into some walls and some different corners. No damage, but man, it was getting really close. The back ends were really coming around and getting so close to those walls. Piastri came through and goes tops with Max in second, Leclerc in third, and Hamilton fourth in the end of Q2. So we have four different constructors in the top four, which is obviously amazing going out of Q2. The eliminations were Albon in 11th, Colapinto in 12th, Perez just absolutely shitting the bed again in 13th. I don't want to hear anything about like he's back. It was literally one race. He's good at Baku, and then he just absolutely shits the bed again here. Magnussen in 14th and Ocon in 15th. Um, Williams did look pretty good, man. They were setting good times, but as I thought, I thought they'd be just out of the top 10 because historically they haven't done very well here for some reason. Um, and that stayed true here. So Q3 is where it all went down. Um, as Carlos Sainz was about to start his first lap, he was on his out lap and then kind of slowed down on one of the final straightaways to get like a little bit of like a start from there. And as he's starting his lap, he's revving up, going around that last corner, and he gets a snap one way, snaps back the other way, and then the back end just comes all the way around, smacks into the barrier. On the onboard, it really didn't look like he hit that hard, but in on the other camera views watching it happen, it looked like he really smacked the back end, and the back end was destroyed. I don't know what was all damaged there, but it looked like a lot of damage. So that happened with about 8 minutes left, and that was obviously a red flag at that point. At that point, Verstappen was coming through about to finish his first actual lap and put a time on the board, which would have been the fastest time at that point. I think it was a 29.79, I believe. and we'll look at the times in a second here. I think he said a 29.79, but he came through after the crash, but there was no yellow flags. The light was still flashing green, so there was no indication for him to stop until after he crossed the line. And then they tried to say that they had to delete the time because of track limits, but actually it wasn't that. It was because he didn't slow down for the flags, but there was no flag. So it was a really weird thing. You know how that whole shit goes. But anyway, his time got deleted. Piastri, I think, was the only one that had a time on the board at that point, and it restarted with 8 minutes left. It took quite a bit to clean up the wreck. After the long red flag, everybody really only had one more chance. Norris goes fastest, with Max coming through in P2, only about 2/10 off Lando. Both Mercedes came through behind him, with Hamilton and Russell fourth and fifth, or third and fourth, sorry, and the other McLaren, Piastri, somehow ended up in fifth. Not the best time. Yeah, Verstappen's time that got deleted would have still put him in second. It wouldn't have really mattered either way. Piastri, not the best lap ever. But what's even crazier, Nico Hulkenberg, man, P6, amazing. Only really because, I mean, he would have been P7, but Leclerc on his final lap gets his time deleted, so Ferrari pulls the ultimate Ferrari and goes 9 and 10 in Q3, absolutely ruining the weekend almost. But we'll see what they can do. Hulkenberg P6, Alonso P7, Yuki Tsunoda 8, Leclerc 9, and Sainz 12. Tough day to be a Ferrari fan. I had a feeling somebody was going to crash. It's a shame that I had to end up being Carlos Sainz, but somebody had to do it, brother. Somebody had to do it. It was a pretty good session. It was really tense watching it. It's going to be a great race tomorrow because every corner you feel like anybody has a chance to just bin it, and it makes it exciting to watch. Those are really all the main moments that happened. The biggest moment of the session was obviously Carlos Sainz wrecking out. The main point for me going forward into tomorrow is we have Lando in P1 again. What's he going to do? He's only ever had a negative drop. He's only gone down on the first lap ever from starting from pole. So with Max in P2, I'm thinking they're going to crash, man. I think there's going to be some contact somewhere. I don't think that Lando's going to be willing to give it up into turn one. I think Max is probably going to have a jump on him just based on the start. So I think we're going to have some contact, and maybe they both DNF. Maybe one of them do. Maybe they both have to go to the pit. I don't know, but I have a feeling there's going to be some contact. And if not, if it's clean, I'm going to predict that Lando holds it somehow. I don't know how, but I predict that maybe he will. But I do think there's going to be some contact, or Lando might just get ahead. I don't know. We'll see. Um, I'll be back after the race to recap that. It's going to be exciting. A lot of mix up in the top 10 now. We have the Haas in sixth. We got Alonso in seventh. Great for him. We got both Ferraris 9 and 10. Both the Williams in 11 and 12. They're trying to get into the points too. So it's going to be a really exciting race. I'm gonna stick by my prediction. I think we have three DNFs, and I'm going to say that Lando is going to probably lose the lead at some point and then going to make a comeback. I just don't know that Red Bull have the pace. I know Max does, but I don't know if the car does, man. I don't think Mercedes is going to overtake. I think they'll probably just be holding off the whole time, trying to keep Piastri behind them. Not much of a threat from Hulkenberg and Alonso and Tsunoda behind. They have to hold up the Ferrari. So it's pretty much just going to be the top five battle tomorrow, which is going to be great. I'm going to predict a little bit of contact into turn one and maybe a DNF there. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. I'll be back after the race. Hope you all enjoy it. Peace.